As you will have no doubt seen from the title of the video, I think it's probably time for David Moyes and Tim Steidten to get busy in the transfer window right now. A couple of days ago, I suggested that one of three things needed to happen. We either needed our reserves to step up, whatever, Maxwell Cornet, Said Benrahma, those type of people needed to step up and really sort of make an impact in the Premier League, or we needed some of our under-21s to step up and make a real impact in the Premier League, or we needed to go out and buy some players. Having watched the under-21s last night against Wycombe, I've come to the conclusion we need to go and buy some players. Now, don't take this in the wrong way. I am not saying that these players will not come good. I think they will, and lots of them. We'll get into the details of which ones I think will sooner rather than some of the others in just a minute. But I think for this season now, right now, in terms of the second half of this 23-24 season, we need to go and bring some players in. Last night was a really interesting game. Went to Wycombe, freezing cold, nice pies, by the way. The under-21s were playing against Wycombe's men's team, and we were the better footballing team. We really, really were. But to an extent, we got out-muscled in the game. And I'm not suggesting, by the way, that there aren't some players who can't go and play men's football now. In fact, I think there are 4 players in particular. As this video goes on, I might amend that and add players to it. I'm just sort of still going through the thought process of what happened last night, who I think should go out on loan to Championship clubs now, right now. Ollie Scarles, Kodua should go. I think Callum Marshall should go as well, and Lewis Orford. I think they are ready to go and play Championship football right now. But to rescue West Ham, I say rescue, it's not rescue, it's carry on in terms of West Ham's season, in terms of keeping us in the top 6 and the knockout stages in European football. I think we just need to go out and buy some players. I really, really do. We'll do a video later on because the news is always changing about who's going out and who's coming in. And I do want to sort of primarily focus on some of the players that I saw last night. Look, Wycombe were not great. There were 2 individual errors which led to our goal. I'm not going to pick out the players involved in that at all because I just think it's unfair to. They didn't create an awful lot. Anything they did create was sort of long balls behind the back. All the football was being played by West Ham. It really, really was. And if anything, West Ham lacked one, I guess, one sort of enforcer, if you want, or one player that was very, very physical, either up front or in the middle of the park, ideally, just to be able to force some sort of physical influence on the proceedings. But I don't blame them for not having one. Why should we jettison a player into that wonderful group that was going to probably delay their development? It was basically, they reached the point that they were going to be able to reach this season on that. And to be fair, very nearly come away with a draw. West Ham had a chance cleared off the line right in front of me, actually, right at the end of the game. So, I mean, it could have been 2-2. It would have gone to penalties. Anything could have happened. The West Ham team came very, very close. But there was a couple of players that Wycombe had. Their number 5, their centre-back, was just dominant. Physically, he was just dominant. He was bigger, stronger, faster than anything we had. And that gave us a bit of a problem. Also, in terms of their striker, I think Wycombe's striker was a new signing for them. Kone, I think his name was. He scored their second goal. I mean, he wasn't even a giant, but he was just a fully grown man. You know, he was just strong. And I thought he was actually very, very composed in the way he saw off 2 challenges to score their second goal. But we didn't really have anybody like that. Probably not until Levi Lane came on in the second half. Was the one time I felt we sort of had a player capable of physically imposing himself. But West Ham do have some really talented players on there. And the reason I'll give you my reasoning for picking out the players that I did to give you some sort of overview of them. What I've got to say is I really enjoyed last night. If I'm honest, I think I enjoyed it more than watching the senior team play. I like watching us play football. I think you can tell that a lot of people that go and follow that team go and do it on a regular basis. And, you know, real diehard West Ham fans there, actually. And I thought it was really good. There was a time, you know, maybe, honestly, 10, 20 years ago, and I used to go to a lot of these games. I could have told you, I could have listed and run off every name in the youth squad and whatnot. You know, not anymore. And I need to get out now, and I need to start following the underage groups a lot more than I do. I think the other thing I want to point out is West Ham's team, they're under 21s, but they are young. They are young. Most of that team can play for the under 21s for years to come. So I do want to say that I do think their development in the next year. I'm not talking about their football. Their football ability's there. It's already there. Their development in terms of their physical development, how you basically grow when you grow from the ages, and fill out from the ages of 16 to 21 or whatever it is. You do a lot of filling out there, and I think once that happens, then they're going to find themselves really competing. You grow a lot at that age. You know what I mean. In terms of the players, the individual players, I've got to say, I think I went there expecting there's some superstars, if you want, in that team. I mean, players like Callum Marshall. So it was actually interesting to see some of the other players as well, who I just looked at, and I was, really pleasantly surprised. I've got to be honest, I've not paid much attention to Kelly, who looks a good player, carries the ball well in midfield. So I was very impressed with him. The reason I picked out the ones that I picked out, so we'll start with Lewis Orford. First of all, he seems like quite a tall lad. It's hard, you're near the pitch. I don't know, whatever he is, 5'11", maybe, something like that, 5'10", 5'11". He wants to move the ball quickly. I actually looked at him and thought there are times when he passes the ball early, he spots the pass, he passes it over the top, he'll spread play, he plays with his head up, he's aware of what's going on around him. I could actually almost imagine him in the future, if you like, playing the sort of passes that like Paquetá plays and stuff like that, maybe a long-range pass. I could imagine him picking out Bowen, imagine him picking out Kodua. So I was very impressed with what I saw, actually, in terms of he led the midfield, and West Ham did. I'm pretty sure we had the most possession. I've not seen the stats. We certainly were passing the ball around better than Wycombe. There's no doubt about that in my mind at all. So I was impressed with that. I've no doubt if he goes out to a Championship team now, he'll do well. He will do well. Who else did I pick out? Kodua, I think he scored a good goal. What was telling was the way we scored the goal. Chester's passed the ball. At least I think it was Chester's passed the ball to him, and he finished really, really well. I think had we have had a little bit more physicality in there, he would have got the ball more and he would have been able to cause more damage. But there's a difference between physically imposing yourself, I think, but also not being bothered by the opposition imposing their physicality on you. And Kodua didn't care. They tried to rough him up a lot, and I don't think they succeeded. So I thought that was really interesting, actually, to watch him play. I want to see a little bit more, and I've no doubt he'd be a really decent winger in the Championship. So I think, for him to go down there, I'd get him out on loan. I just think it will increase their progression. There's no doubt in my mind, watching some of these lads now, that almost... they're top in Premier League too, as I said. I think they're top in the group, in the European group as well. For some of them, they need to step up another level. I just don't think that level is right now is Premier League and Europa League. I think the next level up is actually just regular competitive football and possibly in the Championship. I think after a stint in there, give them another year filling out, I think you're going to see some players who are probably contesting for inclusion in the first team. For that reason, I think I'm certainly feel inclined to give David Moyes a pass on why he's not rushing to put some of these young players in. I'm aware I'm jumping from subject to subject, but it's just how my mind's going, so I'll get back to the other players that I've not mentioned yet. The only reason I want to also pick out David Moyes is, I think this is really important to point out, David Sullivan was in attendance last night. And I'm not sure David Moyes was. And I want to just put that not sure out there, because I don't want to be seen to put the boot in. I'm very aware that I could do this video and then later on someone pops up a picture of David Moyes being sat in the ground at Wycombe. But nobody saw him. Nobody there saw him, as far as I know it, to the point of recording this video. Nobody mentioned him being there, and as I understand it, he was in Preston earlier on during the day. So that would have been quite a task, I would imagine, for him to get there and get down for that game. I think it was really good that David Sullivan was there. I do. I think that's really, really good. Good on him. Brilliant. If he was there and the manager wasn't, I think that's a bad look. I really do. I think, and as I say, I don't want to go too far along the lines of giving Moyes a kicking over this, because it might well turn out that he was there. But if he wasn't, I think the youngsters could have done with him being there. I really do. If he wasn't there, I'm not impressed. This was it. This was their biggest game of the season. Now, don't get me wrong. If we get through in Europe and we reach the final in Europe, they're then possibly you can make the case that is. But at the moment, this was it. You've got to remember, a lot of these players won the EFL Youth Cup. They were under 18s last year. So a lot of these players are 17, 18, 19, right? It would have meant a lot to them. Going back to some of the individuals again. Marshall is skillful. He's clearly built up. He's up with body strength. There's no doubt about that. He struggled against this number 5, who was, honestly, was like an incredible Hulk. He really was. But you could see the skill there. He's very bright. He's definitely going to be a player. I'd get him out on loan. I really would. So what we got? We got Marshall. We got Kodua, and we got Lewis Orford. Scarles. He's a player. He's a football. This boy is a footballer. He really is. There was one particular dummy was superb. His crossing is excellent. It was quite annoying actually because we had a real sustained pressure at the end, but it's been substituted then, and the ball kept on going to the left, and I just wonder what would have happened if he had been there. There was clearly his teammates trust him as well. They constantly looking for him. Orford, Earthy, they're looking for him. They want to pass it to him. Was good. Was really good to see. I want to see more. And he's grown. He has grown since the last time I saw him. Notice this is what happens with kids, right? You don't see it. You don't see him for a year. So it's like it's like when you take your children to see a relative you're not seeing in a few months. Say, oh, and he grown. It was a bit of that for me with him. So I want to see more. I definitely want to see more Ollie Scarles. There's no doubt about that at all. Earthy, I didn't mention Earthy, did I? Look, Earthy is small. He is small. He is talented. There was one point he got a whack in the face, a proper whack in the face, and never mind not coming back for more when he was out. This was in the second half, so we would have been attacking down the left. No, it wasn't. Maybe it was. I forgot. It was on the left side. I can't remember what half it was, but he flicked the ball over the defender. He did like a Lucas Paquetá and flicked it over the defender's head. It was really impressive. He's got really close control. And I'll tell you something about him. Look, he'll grow. I'll tell you something now. He was getting bullied. He stands up for himself. I mean, they really had to go at him. He was probably the smallest player on the pitch, and they really had to go at him. And he came back. There was one he got into a little bit of a shoving match as well. The other fella, the Wycombe guy, got a yellow card. But never at any point did he allow the physicality to put him off his game, which I thought was really, excuse me, which I've actually, at the start of this video, I've already had to cancel this video 3 times because for some reason my computer keeps on making stupid beeping noises at me. It's some kind of warning. Perhaps I should take heed of the warning, actually. There was a lot to like about that team. There really is. There's some really, really decent players in it. And I've got nothing bad to say about them at all. The only thing I would say is that sometimes that I've been one of the people clamouring for these youngsters to get promoted and get their chance. And you know what? I'm really happy to change my mind on stuff, on anything. I get some, every so often I get comments in the chat accusing me of flip-flopping. I don't care. I use one of Gio's phrases. I'd rather be fickle than stubborn. And I've had a look at it, and I just don't see the need to start throwing these lads in yet. So I'm going to stop that clamouring for throwing these youngsters in this season. I actually think to play in a David Moyes team would be bad for them at the moment. I really do. And I mean at the moment. Don't get me wrong. One of those games where we're absolutely cruising and Kodua is playing well and Paquetá's playing well and Bowen's playing well and Alvarez is dominating the midfield. I'm not saying don't chuck one of the players in for 10 minutes at the end of one of those games. I think that's very different to us thinking one of these youngsters is going to save the season by playing 90 minutes every game. It's not going to happen. I really don't think they're ready for it yet. And I'm sorry about that. I was sort of hoping that would be the case. But don't take it to mean they're not going to be good players. They are going. So there's a lot of players on there who are going to do very well. And I probably want to make a little case for Forbes here because, he was one of the players who made a mistake on there. And he's going to be he's got a good professional career in front of him. There were times when we were under the cosh at the start where he was the one. I certainly remember him playing next to, is his name Lewis Xiao? I think his name's Lewis Xiao, possibly. he was the one getting in and trying to get in and do the headers, and they were certainly facing a big physical threat, and he was very much trying to stand up to it, very much trying to lead, and so I felt sorry for him that he'd made an error. I don't think that was reflective of his game as a whole, by the way. So I just really wanted to say that there. Listen, no one's going to be out there giving him stick or anything like it, but I just aware that maybe some highlights might have gone up. There was a lot more to his game than that one bad pass, which, let's be fair, it's a learning experience. He's never going to do that again. He won't do that again. There's absolutely no way. And hey, look, anyone's capable of doing it, right? Listen, even West Ham themselves, the senior teams, have we played Man United. We have been the beneficiaries of something like that relatively recently, haven't we? So hey, look, just one of those things. Lots to like. Some assured handling from Anang as well. Casey clearly is very good with his foot on the ball. Chester's, again, got the assist. Chester's did. So there's a lot there. I'm just wondering, I'm hoping I haven't sort of left anyone out. I mentioned Kelly, Orford, Earthy. Yeah, I mean, there's some decent, honestly, some really decent players in there. But for now, for this, for what we're talking about, January 2024, to get us over the line, no. West Ham need to go out and we need to buy players, and we need to go and do it now. As for the under-21s, I would get them out on loan. I think they've done their bit in the under-21s. Well, what do we want to do? Do we want them to hunt for glory in terms of winning Premier League term? That'd be a great thing to do. But I just think not only the players, but the club as a whole would benefit from them getting loan deals now. I really do. I think we could really elevate their progress and sort of accelerate their progress. I really do think that that's the case. I liked what I saw. I liked a lot of what I saw, and I want to see more of it. And I'm pretty sure we didn't see those players at their best because of the physicality. But you know what? I'm okay with that, because I got to see them when they were under the cosh. And even though they were under the cosh, I felt it was still a better team than Wycombe Wanderers. They still could have won the game, and they still played the better football. And despite them being dominated physically, they still came back for more, and they wanted more, which showed spirit. And it showed fight. And that's a whole lot more than the senior club showed against Bristol City, by the way. That when I did the review, I only felt there were really 3 players in that seriously fought in that game. There was definitely more fight on show from the under-21s than there was from the senior team. And for that reason, I enjoyed watching it more. And I'm going to go and do a lot more of it, I think. So, so listen, to everybody involved in that, well done. I think to get through to the second knockout round in a senior competition, when not only are you an under-21 team, you're a bunch of teenagers in an under-21 team, bodes very, very well indeed. And I want to point out that Man City couldn't do it, Man United couldn't do it, Tottenham couldn't do it. It was West Ham did. West Ham. We got some really, really good youngsters. I'm sorry, I know I keep making it. I'm going to end the video, but things keep coming into my mind. The ones that probably could handle the physicality, we cleared out last season. Players like Ekwa. Ekwa's gone on, he's gone to Sunderland, he looks a good player. But they cleared the decks. Mark Noble cleared the decks in order to give this lot a pathway through. And that's why, if we had have still retained some of our sort of 21-year-olds, under 21s, if you know what I mean, I'm pretty sure we'd have cleared Wycombe. And I wouldn't take much convincing that we would have been able to win this trophy. So it was close, so well done. If a lot of them are still at the club next season, give them another year's development, I think they can win this trophy. I really do. But in many respects, I hope they're not because I don't want them to win the trophy, but I hope they're out getting proper experience now at these Premier Leagues, at these Championship clubs or League One clubs or whatever it takes. Then we can really find out how good these players are going to be. How many of them are going to go on to play for West Ham? I don't know. I've got my suspicions in the back of my mind. I've got, some that I think, with a little bit of development. Some are ahead in their development than others physically. But you may well find the person that goes on to represent West Ham at their best may be not as physically developed as others in the squad. But I think it bodes well. I really do. And I do think give these lads another year And if we're stood here now wondering who could come in and make an impact for West Ham, we may well be looking at this team and the players in this team. And I think if we coach them properly, they have been coached properly. I think if we get them out now and they have the proper experience, then they can come in and they can do good things next season in the first team.